Hey Redemption Women, thank you so much for signing up for our fall study. My name is Seth, I'm one of the pastors here on staff, and I wanted to give you a bit of the heartbeat and direction behind the curriculum we've picked for this fall and what we hope it accomplishes in our hearts and minds. So there's kind of three layers to Jesus, right? We all want to follow Jesus, we all want to be like Jesus, we all want to receive the work of Jesus into our lives, and so we're Jesus people. That's what our church is all about, at Redemption Church, birthing and strengthening healthy disciples of Jesus. But there's a deficiency in the way that our tradition, evangelicalism or even Reformed evangelicalism, have seen Jesus historically. And this content this fall is meant to address that deficiency that a lot of us might have or are raised with. And so here's what I want you to see, is there's really three layers to Jesus. The first layer to Jesus is what we call his path. This is what Jesus does. This is how Jesus lives. This is like the facts about the way he existed. And this idea of being like Jesus or trying to follow Jesus is following Jesus. So walking the path that he walked, right? We follow him into sacrificial service. We follow him towards serving the least, the last, and the lost. We follow him into seeing the people who aren't seen. And so doing the things that Jesus did. This idea of path. And some of you might have grown up in a church where you had like the WWJD bracelets, what would Jesus do? And this is what the path is all about. This is the WWJD part of following Jesus. What would Jesus do? And that's a really good question when we talk about morality, ethics, what should I do? Well, what did Jesus do? And so that's something that a lot of people are pretty familiar with. You kind of read the Gospels and see what Jesus did. The second circle is something that in particular our Reformed community or our church, Redemption Church, really emphasizes a ton, and this is on the work of Jesus. In particular, the atonement. The fact that Jesus was a substitute for our sin, that he died in our place, that he died once and for all as a substitute for sin. This is all about this kind of idea of being gospel-centered, right? If this is about being outward-focused, the path of Jesus, the work of Jesus, is about being gospel-centered. What does having a real, grace-based, Jesus died for me relationship with God look like? And we could talk about this in this way. What has Jesus done? So not what would Jesus do, but what has Jesus done for us? This is what we receive as Christians. But the kicker here is that a lot of us stop there. What would Jesus do and what has Jesus done? And that's the extent of our life with Christ. But something that's been happening in Redemption Church the last couple of years is we start to recognize this deficiency, because really at the centerpiece of this is the person of Jesus. And that's really asking the question, not what would he do, and not what did he do, but it's asking the question of what is he like? What's it like to be in a room with him? What would it have been like to be his friend? What would it be like to be an outcast person who encounters Jesus? So this question, what was Jesus like, is key, because if we want to be like Jesus, it's not just about having an external conformity to his actions. It's not just about receiving his actions on our behalf, but it's actually having a presence like the presence and person of Jesus. How can I feel like Jesus felt to people? When people experience me, do they experience anything remotely like what they would have experienced if they were in the room with Jesus? Obviously, the answer to that is oftentimes no, but this person of Jesus study that we're doing this fall is really trying to get to this heart of this question. Not just what would Jesus do, ethics, not just what has Jesus done, salvation theology, but what is Jesus like and how can I be like him, presence, trying to imitate the one who we're called to imitate, being conformed to the image of Christ. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on in this person of Jesus study. Is we're not going to take this stuff for granted, because the work of Jesus really matters and the path of Jesus really matters, but the person of Jesus. Do I know him like a friend, and do my friends experience him like they experience me? And so that gap is what we're going to be addressing. And so let's prepare our hearts, prepare our minds, prepare to lean into what Jesus is doing in our heart, mind, and souls, and ask that Jesus would make us more like him as we get to know him more intimately. Thank you so much for studying this fall. I pray that it will bear tons of fruit in your life and in the life of your friends and family.